You want to know what real freedom looks like? It's watching the sunrise hit a quiet pond on your own land, coffee in hand, not a soul in sight, except maybe a deer or two in the field and the sound of your boots on the porch. No meetings, no neighbors peering over the fence, just you and 25 acres that belong to nobody else. I always believed that owning land meant you finally got to breathe easy, make your own choices, answer to nobody but yourself, that is, until the day some stranger decided to hang a letter on my front gate like it was the morning paper. You ever had your peace shattered by paperwork? Yeah, me neither, not until then. So I find this envelope, official looking, all stiff, stamped with a logo I've never seen before. Heritage Valley Homeowners Association. At first I almost laughed, thought maybe some realtor left the wrong mail or some kid was pulling a prank. See, my ranch isn't in a subdivision, not part of any neighborhood. Heck, my place is so far off the map, the GPS gives up halfway down the road. I chose rural for a reason, you know what I mean? But I open that letter and my stomach goes cold. These folks are telling me my land's been added to their expanded boundary, approved by a committee I've never heard of, never voted for, never even seen at the gas station. They go on about environmental and aesthetic standards like I'm running a landfill instead of a family ranch. They say I owe dues, need to prep for some kind of property inspection, have to start following their rules, and by the way, here's the schedule. I stood there on my porch, just shaking my head. It sounded like a bad joke, or maybe one of those HOA horror stories you hear about over coffee, but never expect to live through yourself. I tossed that letter aside, figured it was a mix-up. My taxes were paid, my title was clear, and no one ever said a word to me about joining any association. I figured they'd realize the mistake, move along, and I'd go back to minding my business. But a week later, there's another letter. This one's less friendly. You can tell by the tone, all legal threats and talk of corrective action if I don't pay up and play ball. They even included some pamphlets, little before and after shots of other non-compliant properties, like some folks had needed help complying. I read it all, balled it up, and tossed it straight in the trash. This was my land, my rules. No HOA ever signed my deed. That's when they got bold. One morning, I'm out fixing a fence, and I look up to see 3 people standing at my front gate, matching polos, clipboards, fake smiles, and a little camera hanging from a lanyard. They introduce themselves as the inspection committee, start rattling off about property codes, barn standards, and how non-cooperation makes things difficult for everybody. I tell them real calm-like that they need to leave. One guy leans in and goes, "You're making this harder than it has to be." And the way he says it, you can just hear the threat under all that politeness. So I lock my gate, make it crystal clear they're trespassing, and walk away. Thought that'd be the end of it. You'd think. But oh no, not even close. For days later, I wake up to the sound of engines. Not just any engines, I mean the deep, growling kind that rattle your bones. I run to the porch and see 10. I'm not exaggerating. 10 massive garbage trucks crawling up my driveway, bumper to bumper, kicking up a dust storm like they're the opening act for a demolition derby. I swear, for a split second, I thought maybe I was dreaming. 10 trucks. For what? A rancher with a barn and some old equipment? I never seen anything like it. The lead driver steps out. No sanitation vest, just that same HOA logo like it's a sheriff's badge. Walks over like he owns the place and says, "Morning. We're here to help clean up your property." Help? I look around and say, "Buddy, this land doesn't need cleaning." But he's not joking. He starts pointing, says my barn's got unapproved storage, my fencing doesn't meet design standards, the old tractor's a hazard, and oh, they've had multiple complaints from the community. That's rich, considering my nearest neighbor is 6 miles away and prefers whiskey to HOA meetings. He drops the act, tells me I've been instructed to comply, and since I haven't, they're taking corrective action. I stand toe-to-toe with him and say, "You step 1 foot past that gate, you're trespassing." Sheriff's number is on speed dial, but he just grins like he's already won and tells me they've spoken to the sheriff's office and everything they're doing is well within their rights. Now, let me tell you, I'm not quick to anger, but watching those trucks line up, hydraulics whining, dust billowing up around my barn, it felt less like law and more like a mob shaking down the neighborhood. So I do the only thing I can think of. I pull out my phone and start filming. You want to intimidate me on my own land? Fine, but the whole world's going to see it. The HOA rep just folds his arms and watches, waiting for me to lose my cool. I realize right then, that's what they want. If I fly off the handle, give them any excuse, suddenly I'm the problem. So I just keep filming, narrating every step. When the first garbage truck backs toward my barn, screeching, I plant myself right in its path. The driver hesitates. You can see him looking to the rep for the green light. The rep barks, "Move." I shake my head. No, he insists they've got authorization to remove unregistered materials. I snap back. This isn't junk. This is my life's work, my tools, my equipment. He doesn't even blink. It's clutter. It's a violation. That's when I hit my limit, but I keep my voice flat, steady. Show me your authorization. Right now. Paperwork, signatures, legal approval. Otherwise, you leave. He looks annoyed, but hands me a folder. I flip through it, reading every line, and that's when it hits me. The whole thing is a bluff. They filed to expand, but it isn't approved. There's no county ordinance, nothing legally binding. They're banking on folks rolling over, hoping nobody checks the details. I hold up the paperwork and say, "This isn't law. This is a pending request. You have zero authority on my land." Suddenly, that confidence drains right out of his face. The drivers are whispering, glancing around. "You need to leave. Right now. Or I call the sheriff and show him this." He's about to argue, but then my phone buzzes, sheriff calling me back. I put it on speaker, loud so everyone can hear. Sheriff says, "Keep them there. I'm on my way." Now, you'd think the HOA crew would retreat. Nope, they hang back, muttering, regrouping. The sheriff rolls up with his deputies, all business. Steps out, hand near his belt, eyes on every truck. The HOA rep tries to spin his story, but the sheriff cuts him off. "Expansion isn't approved. You're trespassing. If you set foot past that gate, I'll arrest you all and impound the trucks." And let me tell you, you've never heard silence like the silence that follows a dozen angry engines idling in defeat. One by one, those trucks back down my drive, engines roaring in retreat. Dust flying, the convoy finally disappears down the road. The sheriff leans in, voice low. "They'll be back. Next time, with lawyers." And he was right. A week later, a fat envelope arrives, legal threats, fines, bogus assessments, claims I owe thousands for non-compliance. They want to bury me in paperwork where brute force failed. But here's what they didn't count on. I'm stubborn as hell. I hire a lawyer, dig up every deed, every old survey, pull together every video clip I shot that day. I show up at county hearings, speak my mind, bring every document I have. And suddenly I'm not the only one. Turns out, the HOA's been trying to rope in other folks too, quietly swallowing up more and more land. One by one, neighbors come forward, some in person, some by letter, some just tired of being pushed around. 3 months. Hearings, petitions, stories told, voices raised. County council listens, really listens, and when it's done, they vote unanimous. HOA's expansion? Denied. The line holds. My land stays my land. And when I wake up now, with the sun just kissing the pond and the fields stretching out quiet and untouched, I remember every bit of that fight. Freedom, real, honest freedom, always comes with a price, and I was willing to pay it. Tell me, though, what would you have done? Is it right for a group to just claim what isn't theirs, just because they think they can? Drop a comment below. Tell me your stories, your opinions, where you draw the line. And if you ever find yourself face to face with a bully in a logo polo shirt, remember, sometimes the only way to keep your land free is to stand up and say, "Not today."